Berger was on about his lack of prancing horses yet again, but he would need all the power he could get for the narrow streets of San Marino for the first European event. Not around this original chariot test track, but the Dino Ferrari circuit in Romagna, where most of the Italian legions had arrived by foot to see Ferrari conquer all. But Senna had different ideas, and he dominated practice with teammate Prost right behind him in the McLaren-Honda. They were simply leagues ahead. And where were the enemy? No other chariots in sight. Prost, the conqueror, was not sure why they were so far ahead.
It's difficult to explain because it's very easy for us at the moment to be in front of everybody. You know, we don't understand why they are so slow.
But with the might of Japanese technology monitoring everything from fuel consumption of the Honda V6 to a speck on the weather chart for the San Marino race, it seems as if even the drivers' brains may have been programmed to win. An army of Honda technicians would look after McLaren and Lotus in 1988. Including this man Piquet, whose war of the words hadn't done him any good in Italy. In a Brazilian Playboy interview, he'd suggested Ferrari had been mismanaged and apparently cast some aspersions on Prost's driving ability. Piquet had some explaining to do.
About Alain, I always talk very good about Alain because I think he's in the best of the world. You know, who make interviews to me exaggerate a lot of things, and also didn't put all this through what I said, everything what I said. About Enzo, I have no rights to say anything. I only said is if he's 30 years younger than he is now, for sure Ferrari did not have the problem that they have now. You know, I think a man of 90 years, you have to be very strong also to run a team. But it's people make a lot of fuzzle and a lot of things about what I said. Maybe sometimes also I say exactly what I think and what is the truth, and sometimes I should not say exactly what is the truth, but what I should say what the people want to hear.
Watching the San Marino Grand Prix was the last non-turbo champion from 1982, Keke Rosberg. Did he think the atmospherics would have a chance against the turbos?
If we ignore the dominance of McLaren, it's a fairly close call. But obviously the McLarens are superbly competitive now, and it sort of changes the situation quite badly. And if you have a reliable car that you finish races all the time, which wasn't the case for normally aspirated cars in Brazil, I think we're in for a very, very exciting racing this year.
Yes, exciting and often breathtaking performances from the non-turbos, like Nannini's Benetton grass cutter in San Marino, where he was quickest atmospheric car. And not to be outdone in this competitive world, the Benetton Formula One team manager Peter Collins won the Alfa Romeo 164 Celebrity Challenge race supporting the San Marino Grand Prix in similarly exciting and thrusting fashion. The pressure was now on Nannini to repeat the performance in the Grand Prix. Dallara appeared at San Marino with a very purposeful-looking Ford engine car driven by Alex Caffey. The squat streamlined car was the result of design work by Sergio Rinland. But a seller's replacement chassis did not conform to the regulations and was excluded, which upset Italian driver Nicola Larini. Problems for Ferrari and disappointment for their many fans at San Marino because Michele Alboreto stalled on the warm-up lap and had to start from the back of the grid. Meantime, Ayrton Senna at the front on pole position leaves his teammate. Alain Prost sitting there with his wheels spinning. Senna gets away into the lead, but he just leaves his teammate Alain Prost sitting on the grid with his wheels spinning. Nelson Piquet got through into second place and Patrese into third, and they got through that third corner there without incident, remarkably, Sterling.
Yeah, it is quite staggering how these cars, this enormous performance and the width of the cars, managed to file through there without hitting each other.
But it was Berger and then Prost we were starting to watch, because Prost would surely start to catch the cars in front of him. And that was Nelson Piquet holding second place, just ahead of Patrese, then Nannini, and there Ayrton Senna holding a great lead from his second pole position, and Berger went down the inside of Nannini to take fourth place, and Prost was about to attack. Down the inside went Prost, inside Nannini taking fifth place. So Prost starting to gather speed and steam.
And there's Capelli out. Not an engine this time, but a broken gearbox.
Meanwhile, Alain Prost was still charging, looking round the outside of Berger there at Tossa, changing his mind, going down the inside, up the hill, trying to get the 4th place. And he did it. He did it in spectacular fashion, but he's well behind Senna, Sterling.
Yes, but there's some very, very tight racing. These guys are changing their line to get the advantage on the next corner. Now look at this one, for instance.
That was Nannini retaking Berger and getting 5th place. Berger forced up onto the curbs there, and Prost was closing in on Piquet, who thought he was safe. But Prost had already taken Patrese, and he was in 3rd place, now challenging for that 2nd position. Patrese down there in 4th. Honda v Honda. Brazilian against the Frenchman, down on the inside. Alain Prost, a beautiful manoeuvre on the inside this time, going into the corner. And Nelson Piquet snaking a little bit there as he's demoted to 3rd position.
This is what Keke Rosberg was talking about, a really good dice amongst the cars without the turbochargers. And look at the ethical way they're driving. I mean, they're doing a really good job here. They're passing and repassing, and the ones that nip in the inside, the one who's being passed, just leaves just enough room, not too much.
And that was Boutsen taking Patrese for 5th place. And then Mansell going down the inside of his teammate Patrese. He took 6th position. And here, back at the front in 3rd place, Piquet, he was held up by one of the Tyrrells. Look at that. You were talking about clean driving before, but he was definitely held up there. And behind him, closing in, was the Benetton of Alessandro Nannini. He has to go round the outside, Sterling. That wasn't clean.
That was, though. The second part was. Not now. They're getting really quite tight in there.
Piquet and Nannini were banging wheels there in that hard dice for 3rd place. And close behind him, behind Nannini, was Boutsen, and he was being threatened by Mansell. Mansell went alongside. That was DFR against the Judd engine, and Mansell just slipped through, past and into 5th position. So Boutsen was demoted, but there he was, driving exceptionally well, as he did in Brazil. Piquet holding his 3rd place, Alessandro Nannini behind him in 4th, and then Boutsen in 5th place.
And then Nannini in 4th place. It was just too much. The pressure was just too much fighting like that with Piquet. But he turned it round well and get going again.
A fine rally-type spin, power spin from Nannini, and there's Mansell. He went into 3rd place from Piquet. That was very cheeky from the normally aspirated car, kicking up a bit of dust in Piquet's face to boot. But Piquet was not having any of this. His turbo car was not going to be beaten by the Judd, and he closed right in. Followed Mansell closely, and he dived alongside, under braking, closely watched by Boutsen now. And Piquet retook 3rd place, Mansell down to 4th place, and then Boutsen was in 5th position, but it was like this, close all the way through. But Mansell suddenly slowed, and the 2 Benettons went through, and Mansell, hand up, engine problems, back to the pits. Another one with problems, Michele Alboreto, retired from the San Marino Grand Prix after fighting from the back of the field.
And here's Senna coming up to take the checkered flag, which may make up for his disappointment of losing the race before. And this is his first win, of course, in the McLaren. But not far behind him is Prost, who, if he'd had a slightly better start, you never know, it could have been a much closer race.
Yes, indeed, it was the first 1-2 of the year for McLaren. Senna first, and Prost was 2nd. 3rd was Nelson Piquet in the Lotus. 4th, Thierry Boutsen. 5th, Gerhard Berger, and 6th, Alessandro Nannini. But Senna thought Prost could have threatened more.
Well, I think if he had a similar start as I, it would have been harder for both of us. Would be a good big fight, and God knows what would happen. So I don't feel that happy that things went the way they went.